You weren't born to live on a stage built by others, yet slowly, without knowing, you began performing, smiling to please, shrinking to avoid judgment, bending so you wouldn't break the image others hold of you. The fear of being misunderstood has made you silent. The habit of comparison has made you blind to your own worth, and the noise of the world has drowned out your own voice. But deep inside, something remains, a quieter strength, a voice that asks, what if I stopped performing? What if I chose peace over approval? What if I lived by my values and not by fear? In this video, you'll explore what it means to reclaim your mind, let go of the need to control, and walk away from anything that costs your peace. This isn't motivation. This is your return to clarity, to inner strength, to the life that's truly yours. Don't live through the eyes of others. You were not born to please the world. In a world where others' glances and words can become mirrors shaping your sense of self, it's easy to lose who you are. You begin to adjust your words, your behavior, even your dreams, just to fit someone else's standard. The fear of judgment doesn't arrive like a loud storm. It seeps quietly into every small decision. You hesitate to speak your mind. You hold back when opportunity knocks. You live a safe, smaller version of yourself because you're afraid of being misunderstood, criticized, or rejected. But here's the truth. Most of us forget. People don't think about you as much as you think they do. They're busy with their own lives, fears, and insecurities. The judgmental stares you imagine are often fleeting glances. And if someone really does judge you, the question you need to ask isn't, what do they think of me? But will that opinion actually change anything in my life? Most of the time, the answer is no. You're the one who has to face yourself at the end of the day. You're the one who pays the price for staying silent when you should have spoken up. You're the one who feels the emptiness of saying no to opportunities, just because you were worried about what others might think. And you're also the only one who can choose to live a meaningful life or to keep pleasing the crowd in silence. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus only on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. You cannot control how others perceive you, but you can control how much power you give to those perceptions. Epictetus once said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish. That's not ignorance. It's the courage to go against the crowd and grow in your own truth, even if that means being misunderstood. When you begin living by your own values, it might feel lonely, but it's the solitude of someone walking their own path, no longer dependent on applause. And in that silence, you'll begin to hear yourself again. A voice that used to be drowned out by expectations and fear, now clearer and stronger than ever. You were not born to please the world. You were born to live in alignment with your true nature. And that is when life truly begins. When they make you feel small, choose to walk away quietly but decisively. Some relationships never explode into arguments. There are no harsh words, no dramatic betrayals, but every time you leave an interaction, you feel a little smaller, a little more doubtful, a little less energized, less confident, less certain in the values you're working hard to build. That's not coincidence. That's a sign of a toxic relationship. Toxicity isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a heavy silence, a well-meaning comment that masks condescension. It's you always giving, but never feeling replenished. It's the constant pressure to monitor your words and actions just to avoid upsetting the other person. You live in that relationship with a quiet tension, as if walking across a psychological minefield. But you stay because you're afraid to face it, because you've gotten used to their presence in your life, because you tell yourself, they're not that bad. And these thoughts are what delay your decision to protect yourself. Letting go of a toxic relationship doesn't require a dramatic declaration, no confrontation, no accusations. You just need to start stepping back. Spend less time with them, invest more in the people who make you feel heard, respected, and seen. Stoicism doesn't teach us to reject or hate others. It teaches us to set boundaries that protect our peace. Epictetus said, "Keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." A real relationship doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't demand that you shrink your values for temporary comfort. Ask yourself, after spending time with someone, do you feel like a better version of yourself? Or worse? Do you feel light or heavy? Do you walk away with gratitude or with the sense of being drained? The answer never lies. Don't hold on to relationships just because they're familiar. Don't stay simply because leaving is hard. Remember, no one has the right to make you feel small in your own life. You don't have to make an announcement, just choose to walk away quietly but firmly, because you deserve to live in a space that nurtures your strength, your freedom, and your growth. The small habits that erode you, and how to take back control. There are habits that are never labeled wrong. They slip in during moments when you're tired, anxious, or seeking comfort. Scrolling late at night, overeating after a stressful day, delaying a decision with a casual "I'll do it tomorrow." No one blames you, in fact. Others may empathize, but if you pay close attention, you'll see these seemingly harmless acts are quietly eroding your self-discipline and your belief in yourself. Every time you indulge a destructive habit, you're not just losing time or health, you're trading away a bit of your control over your life. You convince yourself, "I can't do it," or worse, "It's not a big deal if I keep going like this." That thought alone is the root of your stuckness. Stoic philosophy doesn't deny emotion, but it emphasizes this. Momentary emotions shouldn't guide lasting actions. Seneca wrote, "The strongest person is the one who can control themselves." That's not physical strength, it's inner strength. The power to choose what's right over what's easy. The power to interrupt a harmful cycle and begin a new one, positive and intentional. The first step is awareness. Ask yourself honestly, what behavior makes me feel worse every time I repeat it? Don't wait until it ruins you to call it harmful. Notice it while it's still silently draining your life energy. Next, replace. Don't try to remove a habit without giving your mind something new. It hates emptiness. If you scroll to unwind, try 5 minutes of journaling instead. If you procrastinate often, break the task down so small there's no room for excuses. It's not about doing a lot. It's about starting in the right place. And finally, remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. A small change, repeated mindfully, can transform your life. Every time you choose a conscious action over an unconscious habit, you're reclaiming control. You're reminding yourself you're not powerless. You can do things differently. You can live differently. Life isn't defined by grand moments. It's shaped by small, repeated behaviors. If you want to live with purpose, strength, and awareness, start by observing what seems harmless, because those are the things quietly writing your future behind your back. When you can't control it, that's when you must learn to let go. There are times when you do everything right. You plan each step. You calculate carefully. You follow through on every expectation, and still, things slip beyond your reach. A careless word, an unexpected change, a person who isn't who they used to be. And suddenly, you feel powerless, confused, maybe even angry. Why didn't all your effort deliver what you wanted? Because some things simply do not fall under your control. The desire to control everything is deeply human. It creates the illusion that if we hold tight, stay careful, do everything right, Life will go our way, but life doesn't work like a logical machine often. The more you try to control it, the more stressed and depleted you become, and in the process, you lose yourself. Stoicism teaches this clear division. The world is split in two: what's within your control and what's not. Peace begins the moment you put down what doesn't belong to you. You can't control what others think, say, or feel. You can't force someone to love you, respect you, or keep their word. You can't control the markets, the weather, or the unexpected turns of life. But you can always control one thing: how you respond. You can choose calm over outburst. You can choose steadiness over blame. You can choose to release instead of clinging. And in those choices, you reclaim a power no one can take away. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, late for an important meeting. You could rage, slam the steering wheel, curse the world, but that won't make traffic move faster. Or you could breathe deeply, play some music, and use the time for reflection. The situation is unchanged, but your inner state is transformed. Letting go isn't passivity. It's the deliberate act of choosing where to place your energy. Instead of wasting it on what's out of reach, you channel it into what you can change. Your thoughts, your attitude, your actions. Every time you realize, I can't control this, and let go with acceptance, you haven't failed. On the contrary, you've stepped into a deeper level of inner freedom, a place no one can shake, because it isn't tied to circumstance. You don't need to change the world, just change how you walk through it. And sometimes, the strongest step forward is the one that lets go. Unrealistic expectations, the root of disappointment and powerlessness. What often exhausts us the most is not what actually happens, but what should have happened in our minds. You expect someone to act kindly, and when they don't, you feel let down. You believe your efforts deserve recognition, and when they go unnoticed, you feel invisible. You hope life will follow your plans, and when disruptions arise, you lose balance. But the problem isn't other people or the circumstances. The problem lies in the unrealistic expectations you've placed upon life. Expectations can lift you up, but they can also bind you to imagined outcomes when you cling too tightly to an idealized vision of others, of yourself, or of the future. Any deviation can shatter your peace. You become irritable, fragile, and feel like life is working against you, when in reality, it's just not following the script in your head. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Stoicism doesn't ask you to give up dreaming or to live passively. It asks you to expect realistically, not because you're weak, but because you wish to remain steady. Pause and ask yourself, does this expectation truly reflect reality? Or is it merely a one-sided desire? Am I waiting for something no one owes me? Am I forcing myself or others into impossible standards? A particularly harmful kind of expectation is perfectionism toward yourself. You want everything to be flawless, fast, and smooth, but growth always involves failure, setbacks, and trial and error. If you don't allow yourself to stumble, you also deny yourself the right to evolve. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means adjusting them so you can embrace reality more gently. It means replacing the should have been with this is what it is. And from there, making the best decision, not for a fantasy world, but for the one you actually live in. Practice something simple. When you feel disappointed, don't immediately blame yourself or others. Instead, ask, what was I expecting, and was that truly reasonable? Simply recognizing a misaligned expectation lifts half the weight off your shoulders. The world doesn't owe you ease. People don't owe you perfection. Life doesn't follow your blueprint, but you can always choose how to see things, and from there, how to move forward with greater clarity. Peace doesn't come when life meets all your expectations. It comes when you stop being dragged by them, when you live with flexibility and acceptance. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You become the master of your own mind, and that's where strength begins. The price of always being right. Sometimes it's the peace you lose. Have you ever walked away from an argument, having won, but feeling more drained than satisfied? Maybe you made your point. Maybe the other person had nothing to say. Yet instead of relief, all that's left is distance, tension, and a fractured connection. The desire to be right is natural. It affirms our worth, makes us feel heard and respected. But when you tie your self-worth to being right, every disagreement becomes a battlefield for your ego at that point. It's no longer about truth. It's about pride. You stop listening to understand. You listen to rebut. You no longer seek a solution, but rather to defend your position at all costs. And sadly, even if you win, you may lose something far more important: peace and true connection. Stoicism offers a deeper view of this issue. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." A mind obsessed with being right cannot grow, but a mind that's open, willing to step back, admit fault, and truly listen can evolve, adapt, and truly connect. Letting go of the need to be right doesn't mean abandoning your principles. It means knowing when to remain silent for the sake of peace. It means recognizing that not every discussion needs a clear winner sometimes. Embracing difference is the highest form of wisdom. Ask yourself, are you trying to prove something just to feed your ego? Is your resistance really about truth, or about feeling threatened? When you see this clearly, you'll realize you don't need to argue to be yourself. You don't need approval to validate your worth. Try pausing in the middle of a heated exchange and asking, what matters more right now, peace or victory? If what you're holding on to is truly right, it won't vanish just because you didn't keep talking. And if you're wrong, silence gives you space to reflect, a gift arguments rarely offer. True strength doesn't lie in always being right. It lies in the ability to release your ego for the sake of clarity, connection, and mutual respect. In the end, we don't carry with us a record of wins and losses, but the calm, maturity, and relationships we preserved with understanding. Sometimes, taking one step back moves you miles ahead. When digital noise hijacks your mind, create space to hear yourself again. You wake up to notifications, check emails while brushing your teeth, scroll through social media during breakfast, reply to messages while commuting, sit at your desk. But your mind's already hijacked by the next video, next post, next click at night. Instead of resting, you end your day staring at a glowing screen, tired, distracted, and strangely empty. You're not alone. The world today is designed to disconnect you from yourself. Digital noise isn't just sound, it's a constant pull, interruption after interruption, endless stimulation, a continuous drift away from presence over time. It robs you of the most precious thing a person can possess: mindful awareness. Though Stoic philosophy was born thousands of years ago, its wisdom couldn't be more relevant today. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." In today's world, those outside events are thousands of notifications, images, and invisible invitations competing for your attention. Letting yourself drift in that noise too long numbs your depth of thought, clarity of observation, and richness of experience. You may know everything happening out there, yet have no idea what's going on inside you. Change starts with small steps. In the morning, instead of grabbing your phone first thing, spend 10 minutes breathing, journaling, or simply sitting in silence, let your mind remember peace before the world intrudes. During the day, build quiet zones, moments when you don't instantly respond, disable unnecessary notifications, use do not disturb when you need to focus or recharge. Remember, not everything needs your immediate reaction. Delayed response doesn't make you irresponsible. It makes you intentional. At night, let your last moment not belong to a screen. Let your mind land gently. Write a note of gratitude, read a page, or just sit with yourself for a few minutes, not just to sleep, but to truly rest. Silence isn't about escaping the world. It's about choosing what deserves entrance into your inner world. When you lower the external volume, your inner voice becomes clearer. That's where intuition speaks, where creativity awakens, where values take root. Ask yourself, are you using technology as a tool or being used by it? Every tap is a choice. Ice. Every time you resist being pulled in, you reclaim ownership of your mind. You don't have to vanish from social media. Just return to yourself long enough to remember you are alive. And your life isn't inside a screen. It's in every moment you are truly present and awake. It's not the circumstances, but your thoughts that are draining you. Have you ever felt exhausted, even though nothing particularly bad happened that day? The day was normal, yet you felt heavy, scattered, unable to focus. You might blame work, relationships, or instability, but often, the real culprit is something more subtle: your own thoughts. The human mind is wired to interpret, and most of the time, those interpretations lean negative. A vague comment becomes rejection. A small failure becomes proof of inadequacy. An unproductive day spirals into a crisis. It's not the event that hurts. It's the story you tell yourself about the event. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is the heart of inner freedom, the ability to choose your interpretation, rather than be swept away by unconscious patterns. But how do you change something so ingrained? First, identify it when you feel anxious, negative, or drained. Pause and ask, what was I just thinking? Was it "I'll never succeed"? Everything always goes wrong. Recognizing the thought creates a gap, a space where you can regain control. Second, challenge it. Ask yourself, is this true? Or just an assumption? Is it helpful? Or just making me more anxious? If it's not constructive, replace it with something more grounded and compassionate instead of "I always fail." Try, what did I learn this time? Instead of "everything's doomed." Try, I don't know what will happen, but I can prepare for it. Another powerful tool is gratitude. When your mind spirals into negativity, anchor it by asking, what can I be grateful for right now? A warm meal, a quiet evening, a friend who listens. Gratitude won't erase the challenge, but it gives you a stronger lens through which to face it. Lastly, remember, you can't always control the first thought that pops up, but you can choose whether to believe it, repeat it, or replace it. And in that choice, you rebuild the quality of your inner life. Don't let your mind become a battlefield of doubt, blame, and fear. Train it to be a sanctuary, clear, steady, and purposeful. Because in the end, it's not your circumstances that wear you down. It's how you think about them, and that you can change starting now. Don't let your mind and living space become an emotional dump. Have you ever felt heavy when stepping into a cluttered room, or found your mind in turmoil just because your to-do list is too long? Perhaps you've sat amidst unfinished tasks, unresolved thoughts, and felt trapped in your own life. This is the consequence of clutter, both physical and mental. We often think that tidying up the outside will make everything neat, but in reality, Your living space reflects your inner world. A messy room often signals a mind lacking direction, filled with unresolved issues. Conversely, a cluttered mind drains your energy, making you indifferent to your surroundings. The ancient Stoics understood this well. They emphasized not only simplicity in lifestyle, but also mindfulness in managing your space and energy. Seneca once wrote, "We do not lack time, but we waste much of it." Start with something simple. Look at your living space, items you no longer use but keep just in case. Objects that remind you of a past you no longer belong to drawers full of papers, old gadgets, broken cables. All of these occupy your life energy. Every item you keep demands a small part of your attention, and fragmented attention makes it hard to focus. Stay calm and live intentionally. Tidying up isn't just about aesthetics. It's an act of freeing mental energy by eliminating external clutter. You create internal space for clearer thinking. Then comes mental clutter, far more dangerous. These are unresolved thoughts, suppressed emotions, postponed decisions, and avoided conversations. They accumulate like invisible dust, clouding your clarity and decisiveness. The solution isn't avoidance, but confrontation. Spend a few minutes each day writing down your thoughts, feelings, and tasks. Lay everything out like clearing a cluttered desk once visible. You can choose what to do, what to let go, what to postpone. Don't try to keep everything in your head. Your mind is for thinking, not storage. Another way to clear internally is by setting boundaries. You don't have to accept every invitation, reply to every message, or shoulder every task. Each time you say no to the unnecessary, you're removing something from your mental desk. Just as a garden needs regular pruning for plants to thrive, your mind needs decluttering to retain what truly matters. Don't wait until overwhelmed to start tidying. Consider keeping your mind and space organized as a self-care ritual, gentle, mindful, and proactive. Because clarity doesn't come from adding more, but from removing the right things. Only by letting go of what no longer serves your current journey can you create enough space to welcome something deeper: peace, direction, and true focus. Comparison is an invisible trap, and how you can escape by following your own path. You open social media and see others living a dream life, successful, happy, energetic, and loving life. You look at your own steady, uneventful days and feel left behind. Not good enough, not fast enough, not attractive enough. You're not exactly envious, but you begin to doubt your own journey. This is the trap of comparison, silent, persistent, and dangerous. You're comparing your entire life with all its failures, flaws, and quiet efforts to a carefully curated fragment of someone else's life. It's a race you'll always lose because your finish line was never defined by you. Stoic philosophy never teaches us to become the best, but to become the best version of ourselves. Seneca once wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Meaning, life isn't a competition, but a journey of daily practice and growth. Each day, each step, in your own way. When you focus too much on others, you forget something more important. Where are you going? Why? And how far have you come from where you started? Escaping the comparison trap doesn't mean ignoring the world. It means turning inward to redefine success by your own standards. Ask yourself, what matters to me? Am I living true to my values? What have I done today to get closer to the person I want to become? Practice this. Whenever you find yourself comparing, pause and write down one thing you're proud of. It could be a habit you're maintaining, a fear you're gradually overcoming, or a relationship you're nurturing with sincerity. Achievements don't need to be grand to be worthy of recognition. Remember, your path is unique, No one shares your circumstances, inner world, or life lessons, so you don't need to be like anyone else. You just need to be honest with your journey and keep moving steadily, mindfully, without noise. When you stop comparing, you start living authentically, and in that authenticity, you find freedom, living by your values when you know who you are. You no longer live for acceptance. In a world where everyone strives to impress, to stand out, and to be recognized, living true to your values has become one of the rarest and bravest choices you can make. Because living by your values isn't easy. It requires clarity about who you are, what you believe in, and the courage to uphold those beliefs even when no one is watching, applauding, or supporting you. You may have been taught that success is defined by a big house, a luxury car, or a high position, but if those things don't genuinely bring you joy, you'll soon feel empty even while standing on top. You may be told to blend in, to be normal like everyone else. But if that means betraying your core, then you're not living truthfully. You're just surviving for acceptance. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Live as if you were already dead," meaning, don't chase the gaze of others. Look inward, ask yourself, am I living according to what I believe is right? Am I acting from self-respect or just out? A fear of rejection. Living by your values means knowing when to say no, when to walk away, and what is truly worth keeping, not to prove anything, but to protect the integrity of your soul. When you live clearly and firmly with your values, you're no longer easily shaken. You don't need to stand out. You need to stand firm. You don't need to please. You need to live meaningfully. And when that happens, you stop needing external validation because you've already accepted yourself from within. When facing adversity, don't ask why, me. Ask, what am I meant to learn from this? There will be times when you fall, even though you tried your best, times when you're betrayed, even though you were sincere, times when you lose something precious, even though you held on tightly. And in those moments, one question tends to echo in your head: why me? That question comes wrapped in pain, injustice, and the sense that the universe is against you. But Stoic philosophy offers a different perspective. Instead of asking, why me? The wise ask, what lesson is this here to teach me? Because adversity doesn't arrive to destroy you. It comes to strip away what no longer serves you, to forge a new strength, to remind you of what truly matters. Epictetus once said, every hardship is an opportunity to train your virtue. No one learns patience in easy times. No one finds courage without facing fear. And no one gains serenity without first standing in the middle of the storm. What matters most is not how many times you fall, but how you rise each time. Look back at the most difficult moments of your life. What helped you get through them? What made you stronger afterward? You'll realize that in pain, you matured in confusion. You found new direction in loss. You learned to value more deeply. Adversity is not a punishment, it is an invitation to return inward, to live more mindfully, and to continue with a deeper inner strength. So when life gets harsh, resist the urge to complain. Pause, take a deep breath, and ask, what is this here to teach me? And from within that very pain, you will begin to hear the answer. Letting go is not defeat. It's how you choose freedom. We often associate letting go with weakness, as if releasing something means you've failed. But the truth is, there are things you must let go of if you truly want to live in alignment with yourself. You can't carry everything and still expect to move lightly. You can't hold on to anger, resentment, outdated expectations, and demand peace. Everything you cling to silently drains your life energy. Stoicism doesn't teach you to be cold. It teaches you to discern, to know what is worth keeping and what should be released. Mindfully letting go doesn't mean you lack the strength to hold on. It means you're strong enough to know that holding on is hurting you. Look honestly, are you still holding on to something that's already broken? A relationship, an illusion of who you once were, an old wound? Maybe it's time to lay it down, not for anyone else, but for your own freedom. When you truly let go, you don't lose, you create space for peace to return, for something new to enter, for your own breath to flow freely again. And in that release, you don't become weaker. You begin to live more fully, clearer, steadier, and freer than ever. Letting go is not an ending. It's the beginning of a more mindful, lighter life, one lived in truth and aligned with your values. When you quietly let go of what no longer serves you, you don't just reclaim your peace, you rediscover the strength, clarity, and freedom that have always been within you.